Was one of the reasons for legalization based on the failed war on drugs?
Yeah, well, that's really the whole reason I'm involved in the first place. I have too many personal stories about people that I've known or directly been affected myself by the war on drugs. But the fact is, we are in a war, and it needs to end.
So, we have a war on drugs here in California. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's kind of a mess. Really what we have is a system that's set up to ensure that money is going into people's pockets. And that's not necessarily the drug dealers or anybody else, but the law enforcement industry and the lobbying industry that's been created to enable the war on drugs. The best way to describe it is we have these entities known as the California Police Officers Association, the California Chief of Police Association, Narcotics Officers Association, District Attorneys Association, and Sheriff's Association. All of these have a local California component as well as a national component, and in many cases even a local city component. So you have a large lobbying industry that directly benefits on keeping things the way they are.
This has become a self-perpetuating beast.
Exactly.
In your opinion, do you see that it's just a bunch of good people trying to do the right thing, but by the nature of the way government works, it has become something else?
You know, it's a mix of people involved. Many of them think that they're doing the right thing. Some of them know what they're doing is wrong. Many of them are just overlooking what's happening and just doing their job. But you have a situation where the people who lobby the government to make these laws directly benefit from keeping the laws the way they are.
Prison industry?
Well, it's a little bit of the prison industry, but the bigger thing is the narcotics officers industry and how that affects really every local law enforcement and every local municipality by the way this whole system works. We have these 5 associations, at least 5, and they have these national components and the local components. Now, when there's a raid done or a seizure of marijuana, there's something called asset forfeiture. And generally, really what they're looking for is not the marijuana, but the money associated with it. This money, through asset forfeiture, then goes to the police departments or other departments that were involved in the asset forfeiture or the raid, and they split this money. So if there's a drug dealer that gets raided, and in some cases this is a very appropriate thing. If there's somebody that has a house full of cocaine and another house full of money, and you can show that those two are literally the same person, and that household of money came from the household of cocaine, that money should be seized and something appropriate should be done with it. Unfortunately, those laws are being used against people who think that what they're doing is legal with medical marijuana, and in general they're more heavily used on marijuana cases because it's easier to get a marijuana case. So if you're looking at the house of cocaine versus a small or even a large marijuana producer, there's huge differences. The house of cocaine will guaranteed to have plenty of weapons there and plenty of mafia ties. The marijuana grow, if people think they're doing something legal in California, will have no guns. It will have ideally patient records, but even if it doesn't have patient records, you can still guarantee, almost guarantee, that it will be a very low impact raid to go in and raid a marijuana grow.
I see what you're saying is that it's easier to raid the guy in the wheelchair than it is the dude with the AK-47.
It's easier to raid the stoner than it is the meth head or the coke head.
Police work becomes a lot more dangerous, but less frequent.
Well, it focuses on the real problems that we have with society. So here's this money that they're taking And what are they doing with it? Well, that money gets equally divided through something called the equitable asset forfeiture sharing guides, based on the departments involved in the seizure or the raid. So then they get this money for their own department, and they like to say, look, we're not putting this in our own pocket, we're spending it on good things. We're spending it on equipment and training. Well, who decides on the equipment they use and who provides the training? The associations. So effectively, this money that's being seized from drug dealers is going to the associations for training. The associations use that money for training, but also to lobby the local governments to keep things the way they are.